YouTube. So, fuck, I just about burned myself. So this is going to be a video just about, basically telling a bit of background about me, why I'm making the channel, just a basic background of my life, growing up, etc, etc. So yeah. Okay, so yeah, some people may know me, some people may not know me. Who the fuck knows? Obviously, some people will know me. I've done 20 years in custody in New South Wales and Queensland, all maximum security, except for about maybe about probably about 14 weeks. So out of 20 years, 14 weeks, but wasn't maximum security. So yeah, Goulburn, Lithgow, etc. I've escaped from custody. I've had a siege for a couple of days in Ultimo in Sydney. Anyone that wants to check any of that out, I've had a couple of different names. Michael Rodney White is the name that I was in custody under most of the time. That's the name the siege is under, if you want to Google it, whatever. And now I changed my name to Michael Marcellus. There's actually a funny story behind that, why I changed it, but yeah, we might get to that another time. So, I grew up kind of with my mum up till I was about 12. I mean, when I say kind of with my mum, it was, of that 12 years, we moved around a lot. I probably only remember maybe, who knows, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years of being with her. The other times, she'd leave us with friends or leave us with neighbours or, just put us in a foster home because it was convenient for her or, whatever. So, then once I got to 12, she put me in Boys Town. She said I was an uncontrollable child. They put me there till I was 14. And then, once I was released from there, pretty much started living with older guys, 21, 22, and just, hanging out with them, obviously smoking pot and drinking and, doing the things that teenagers find appealing at that age, I guess. I was lucky, I guess, that I didn't really get into heavier drugs, so I did that for when I was 14. I did that, smoking pot, drinking, probably for 2 or 3 years, and then that's when I started selling drugs, just selling pot and stuff like that. Then the speed came into it. This was around, must have been 95, maybe 94. Speed was, out then, so I started selling some of that as well. And then during that period, it must have been about 19, 20 when I was introduced to heroin. I never knew anything about it. And so from 20 up until, pretty much, I'm 47, 46 now, so 26 years on and off the heroin. So, it's one of those fucking things. When you get on the heroin, you get off it at times, you stay off it, you find something to swap the addiction for. Well, that's what happened to me. When that thing's gone, sometimes you end up going back to the heroin, etc. Anyway, so, that's... Didn't realise cameras all fucking crooked, sorry about that. So that's, I did that up till 20, got into heroin. I started, obviously, once you've got a heroin addiction, it's, you know, you've got to come up with that money every day, you know, and, you know, you don't sell drugs forever. A whole heap of stuff happened. I had a kid, ended up stopping dealing. So yeah, as you start using heroin and you develop a heroin habit and you don't have any kind of income, you know, you need to support that. So the only way, you know, 99% of people that are using the drug support their habits is through crime, obviously. You know, so I mean, back in my teenage years when I first started, I mean, late teens, early 20s, when I was first started using, I just used to shoplift, you know, like, I mean, I was living on the Gold Coast, I'd get up with a mate, all by myself, and would go out shoplifting for the day, go to each different shopping centre, you know, just stealing stuff like PlayStation games or, you know, DVDs back then when they first came out. Computers were a big thing back then, like, you know, you could walk out of Myers with a $3,000 PC, walk down the street and get $1,200 for it from, you know, your friends or whatever. So, yeah, I did that for, must have been a good 5 years, I'd say. And, you know, just doing that, obviously got harassed by police amongst this time. You end up doing little shitty sentences. 2 months here, 3 months there. It wasn't until I was about 20, must have been 23, 24, I bumped into these guys on the Gold Coast. It was actually these two gay guys, actually, surprisingly. But yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a bank robber from Sydney, rah rah rah." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, fucking yeah." I'm, you know, because I'm only young, I'm thinking, "Fuck, who's this fucking mad cunt?" You know, I'm like all impressed by him. Fucking, you know, want to fucking thinking he's real cool. They're driving around in a fucking brand new hire car. You know, he's telling me he does all these stick halves. Well, I'm like, fuck, like, you know, fucking hanging out with him a little bit. And anyway, yeah, one day he goes to me, "Oh, I'm going down to Lismore for court. I might suss out this bank while I'm down there. Do you want to come?" He goes, "I might get you to drive the car." I'm like, yeah, I mean, you know, I've always driven cars. I've always, you know, been the one when I was 16, 17, we had some shit box that we'd bought for $400 or $300 off the side of the road, unregistered, uninsured. You know, I was always the one driving. You know, even if we were paralytic, drunk, I'd be driving. Obviously, drink driving's fucking ridiculous. You shouldn't do it. Yeah, it was different back then. You know, like back then, all the police didn't have all the scanners on the cars, so, you know, they didn't know if your car was unregistered or uninsured. They didn't know if you had a license just by driving past you like they do now. So, yeah, you know, you're always getting into police chases. So, yeah, anyway, he said, "Oh, I might get you to drive for me." So I went down to court with him on the pills and stuff like that. We had a look at the St. George Bank down there. He goes, "Yeah, alright, we'll come back in 2 days and do it." I'm like, "Righto, sweet." Fucking went home, and sure enough, 2 days later, got all the gear ready. On the way down there, he's like, "Oh, I think I might just, if you don't want to come in with me, I might just do it myself. I don't really, like, yeah, just trying to verbal me to go in with him, basically." Anyway, fucking, yeah, sure enough, ended up going in with him. You know, ran to the bank, robbed the bank at the St. George Bank at Lismore, came out, jumped into a stolen car, drove around a couple of blocks, jumped into a hire car, jumped out of the stolen car into the hire car, and drove off. And you know, about probably 30 minutes later, we're driving out of Lismore towards Ballina, like back then we didn't just have the highway, which was, you know, straight through. You can go pretty much now, you can go straight through from Sydney to the Gold Coast, all on one road, and it goes straight through. But back then, it was like an old little country highway, you know, it was only one road in, one road out. Like, it was pretty stupid, obviously, now looking back at it. Like, it was ridiculous to, like, yeah, anyway, it is what it is. So, we heard the car come over the scanner, the car that we were in, and we had no fucking idea where we were. You know, we were all off our heads on the pills as well. It's just stupid. We found this servo out in the middle of nowhere. We've pulled up, the hire car's in one of these guys' names, so we're fucked already. So we've ditched the bag with all the shit in it, the guns and the bellies and all this stuff in it. Ditched all that stuff, went over to this service station, called a cab, and waited for the taxi to arrive. Once the taxi's turned up, we've obviously jumped in it, and we've gone to Ballina, which is another little shitty town. Anyway, long story short, we got arrested that day in Ballina. Maybe half an hour after that, they arrested me and the guy that went into the bank. The other guy that was out in the car, he ended up getting away with the money. And he ended up spending it, obviously. He ended up doing statements against us and stuff like that too. So, you know, these two guys went guilty. I went not guilty. It's a long story, but yeah, that was my first bigger sentence. I only ended up doing 2 years. After 2 years, I ended up getting out. During that sentence, I met my lawyer. I met the lawyer that was representing me. It was a female lawyer who I became close with, and yeah, the day I got out, I moved in with her. Lived together with her for about 4 years. Yeah, she changed my life, great woman. And then ended up just doing like a tornado of offences that happened over a period of about 8 weeks, which cost me, I got a sentence I think of 11 or 12 years on the bottom with the escape and the siege and all that stuff involved, which I'll tell that story about the siege and the escape, all that. I'll tell that story in another video. I'm just trying to give a brief rundown. So yeah, I got 12 with an 8, I think, for that, or 12 and 9. After getting out from that, I was out for 6 weeks, and I ended up getting arrested for another 2 armed robberies, and did another 4.5 years. So I had pretty much 6.5 weeks out of 13.5 years, nearly 14 years. And yeah, so you know, all that was, like I said earlier, all that was Goulburn, Lithgow, you know, shitty little stints at MRC, but mainly those two, Wellington. So yeah, I got released in 2017, December, and that's fucking, you know, what, 6 years? 6 years now, yeah, 6 years, fuck. So, and now I'm scot-free. I got no parole, I got no, you know, no nothing on me, no outstanding charges, no outstanding court. Now after yesterday, which I got a decent result actually, but I'll do another video about that. And yeah, so now since 2017, I've lived pretty much up the north coast of New South Wales with my partner now. Yeah, got a little dog, and things are good. You know, when you're young, you think all this shit's so fucking cool, and like, you know, doing all this crime and shit. You know what? And now I'm 46, and I look back, and I've spent, you know, just about half my life, like 20 years altogether, in custody. Like, that's fucking insane. You know, and I don't know where it's gone. Like, I can't, you know, I've got no fucking idea. Like, and you know what, sitting in jail, there's a guy I was watching the other day with a video, and how he was saying, it's actually Spanian again, bro, shout out. So, yeah, you know, he's saying about how we ended up hating jail. And you know what? After getting out after that 9 years and going back in after 6 weeks, that was the most fucking, like, just to be so, when you've got 9 years to prepare yourself for getting out and you find yourself back in jail in 6 weeks, and I wasn't even using any drugs in that 6 weeks either. Like, when that happens to you, I don't know, man, it just takes, I don't know, it just takes a bit of your soul from you, you know, and you're just like, what the fuck, bro? And you go inside and you end up just being so fucking depressed. Well, I was anyway. I fucking hated it. I fucking hated it at this stage. That last 4 years was the hardest fucking shit to get through because I just couldn't fucking stand the place. I was so sick of the people. I was just disappointed in myself. I was just like, what the fuck am I doing back here? So yeah, you know, obviously that 4.5 years, you develop a pretty good fucking resolve not to go back if you've got that mindset, you know, throughout the whole sentence. So that's what my mindset was. So obviously I've been out now for 6 years, I haven't had any charges, and things are okay. So you know, it's, what I'm trying to say is, I don't even really know what I'm trying to say. This is basically just trying to give you a rundown of my life, what, you know, what's about, where I'm at now. And yeah, I don't want it to be too long, and I don't want it to be too fucking boring. But yeah, don't fucking waste your life rotting in a fucking cell with these fucking idiots that don't give a fuck about you, honestly. You know, like, I've heard someone say it before about how, oh, fucking, you're a scared cunt, I'm heaps tougher than him. Like, you know what I mean? Who gives a fuck, bro? Just walk away. Who cares? Like, who is he to you that you need to impress him or care what he thinks, or, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, this is what people get into, all the fucking trouble in jail and, you know, trying to make a name for themselves and all this bullshit. At the end of the day, it's just all fucking crap, bro. You know, it's all meaningless, pointless fucking shit. And the people that do care about you in your life don't give a fuck. You know, they don't give a fuck about, you know, whether people called you wrong, or, you know, whether you fucking turn down a fight, or, you know, people that care about you in your life don't give a fuck about none of that shit. All they care about is you, and fucking that you're okay. You know, if you told them any of that shit, they could not give a fuck. Anyway, yeah, but I'll wrap this video up. It's pretty shit, obviously, but yeah, just a quick rundown of